everyone, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And we watched some movies.
Yeah, we did.
So a couple new ones on Netflix this weekend. Let's talk about the nice one first.
Sure.
An animated movie on Netflix called Over the Moon. So this one is directed by Glenn Keane and John Kars. It is an American-Chinese co-production. And yeah, it is brand new on Netflix, so you can check that out. It is good family viewing.
Yes, it is. It's a very song-heavy animated movie.
We call those musicals.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I guess
Song-heavy animated movies. Yeah, it's a new category.
Yeah.
So it's about a little girl named Fei Fei. So when she is very young, her mother likes to tell her about the moon goddess. This is one of Fei Fei's favorite stories. So before she was a goddess, when she was just a mortal woman, she was happily married to her sweetheart, Yi, who was an archer. And one day, the 10 suns rose in the sky, and they were scorching the earth, as you might believe possible. Yeah. So Yi saved everyone by shooting 9 of them down. And so as a thank you, as a reward, he got a vial of immortality. But he didn't want to take it because he didn't want to leave his beloved wife. But one day while he's out, his young apprentice shows up at their house, and he is trying to steal the dose of immortality. So to prevent him from getting it, she takes it. And she ascends to the heavens, she picks the moon as her residence, and becomes the goddess of the moon. But she's up there lamenting the loss of her beloved husband, and is missing him to this day. So that is a story that young Fei Fei likes to hear from her mother. Of course, this is not a Disney movie, but they do kill off the mom. So you can...
animated tradition.
Yes. So now, fast forward in time a little bit, Fei Fei is a teenager. They are about to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival, which is a time where we celebrate the moon goddess, but also Fei Fei, of course, is remembering her mom extra specially because of that story and their connection. And at this particular moon festival, it is not just the usual cast of family members and friends. A new woman shows up. This apparently is her dad's new fiance. Who I guess somehow Fei Fei has never met before, because it is this woman's son, Chin, who tells her they are going to get married. So this seems like a really big insult to her dead mother's memory to Fei Fei, and she really is not happy. And so even though 15 should probably be a little bit old for like child's logic, she does decide she needs to go meet the moon goddess to remind her father that the myth is real and that true love exists. It goes on forever, it never dies, and so he shouldn't be marrying someone else. So she builds a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Which is surprisingly successful.
Yes, it is.
Especially since...
She engineered it.
She did. She did. It takes off, it gets up towards the moon. She brings along her trusted bunny friend, Bungie, and they stow away that little pesky Chin, who has somehow equipped himself in his own spacesuit, which is pretty, there's a lot of ingenuity happening in this movie that we don't really give enough credit to. But they do get to the moon. But what they find there is that the moon goddess is now like basically a rock star.
Yeah, she has a huge concert.
Cue the musical parts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been singing up until this part, I should say. There's been lots of singing, but there's even more singing on the moon.
Yeah. Just lots of moon parties, moon raves.
Yes. And the goddess is not this like wonderful person that Fei Fei has assumed she would meet. She's kind of self-involved. She's looking for a gift. She believes Fei Fei has it. Fei Fei, of course, has no idea what she's talking about. But resolves to find something to give to her because she still has this really big favor to ask. So on the moon, she and Chin befriend Gobi, who is some sort of ex-royal consort who got ostracized, excommunicated for the past 1,000 years. So, of course, Fei Fei is up there to convince the moon goddess to tell her father to never
marry again.
Yes. But between the moon goddess, who is up there pining for her husband, and Gobi, who was exiled for 1,000 years, there are some really big lessons in loneliness and how deeply affecting and hurtful all of this loneliness can be. But really, once we're on the moon, it's just pure escapades. She meets some biker chicks. She meets this Gobi. They sing a lot of songs. There's this rap battle ping pong game. Lots of stuff is happening on the moon. And then eventually, of course, Fei Fei and luckily the stepbrother make it back down to Earth.
And our friends now.
Yeah.
Learn lessons and stuff.
So the big moon adventure is bookended by these festival celebrations with family and food. Scenes that I thought were almost reminiscent of The Farewell, Lulu Wang's The Farewell, where they sort of marry the concept of grief and loss with celebrations with family and food. So in that way, they were kind of similar. I thought the movie felt a little more Leica than Disney or Pixar to me, but it kind of takes the Coco approach in that they are musicals, but also in using a culture and its traditions and its mythologies to understand grief and loss and what happens when you lose a loved one and how you can go on from that. So I think those are kind of interesting overlays. It has a very deep and talented voice cast, including Ruthie Ann Mills, John Cho, Sandra Oh, Margaret Cho, Ken Jeong, Philippa Sue plays the rock moon goddess. Yeah. So I thought it wasn't like the best movie ever. It's not reaching the heights of Disney or Leica or Pixar, but it was an enjoyable film with some cool visuals. It's got a nice message. And, you know, certainly for something that you find on Netflix, it's a pretty good watch.
It's a good Netflix film.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's nice to have family-friendly movies.
Yes, it is.
The next movie we're going to talk about is not family-friendly, so stop there if that's what you're looking for. I mean, you'll probably guess by its title, Cadaver. Funnily enough, it is about a family who brings a child to see something that a child should never see. And there are deadly consequences. So, again, not family friendly. It is called Cadaver. It is a Norwegian horror movie that is on Netflix right now. So, written and directed by a very young guy named Jarand Herdal, and that is the first and last time I'm going to attempt any of these names, which are Norwegian and very difficult. And
they have a lot of O's with slashes through them.
Yes. I don't know how to say your names, guys. I'm so sorry. I will write them down below. I want to give everyone credit. You're a fantastic cast. I just don't know how to say your name. But anyways, the characters, thankfully, at least the English dubbed version, which we watched, so don't worry, you don't have to read. You're welcome. Leonora is the mother's name, Jacob is the dad's name, and Alice is the little girl who's gonna see some shit.
Well, they're all gonna see it.
They're all gonna see it, and in fact, they've already been living it, because this is some sort of post-apocalyptic world they're living in.
Norway started a nuclear war somehow.
Somehow, these things went wrong, and so there are plenty of survivors, but what's happening now is they're all starving to death because there is no more food. So we meet this family, and the parents are trying very hard to keep their little girl safe at night. The girl is terrified. Everybody is hungry. And so the next day, there's sort of a little bit of respite in the form of theater production that seems to be mounted in an old abandoned hotel. Of course, all hotels are old and abandoned at this point. It is post-apocalypse.
There's no tourism.
No. There's no food. So the big draw, and there was already a draw because Leonora is an ex-actor. That's what she did pre-apocalypse. So she would be interested in theater anyways. But these tickets seem to include dinner and a show.
It's a show and a meal.
Yeah. The meal is the big deal. And it's pay what you can. Although it doesn't seem like money is not the thing that's in short supply.
No.
People have coins, they don't have anything to buy. So the fact that these people are offering a meal seems too good to be true, but the bellies are empty and they demand food. However, the minute they arrived and learned that this is interactive theater, they should have turned left. I don't care how hungry you are, there is nothing that excuses interactive theater. That's disgusting. Disgusting. But they didn't. They stayed and they ate. Oh well. They were hungry. I'll give them that. You have a kid, you don't want to see your kid go hungry. So, again, they were warned by the theater owner, Matthias, that this is not a show for children, but they insist on having her there. So everything that happens is really their fault. So after dinner, the show starts. So all of the actors just wander off into different places in the hotel, and you are, the patron, are free to just wander about and observe scenes as they're happening. You have to wear a mask. But yeah, you just can see all kinds of things. And these actors are really trying to engage people. They're really doing some quite shocking things to get people to come and watch them. But Leonora observes that there's something a little off about what's going on. And people are not being very upfront with, with what's happening. And then Alice goes missing. So Alice deserves what's coming to her because she wandered off. And you know what? It is post-apocalypse, Alice. Yeah. This is not a time to not be holding your mother's hand.
It's true. But it goes both ways. The mom is just talking to the dad, and then they're like, "Oh, Alice is gone.
Oh, we misplaced our daughter."
Yep.
So now not Alice, Leonora basically is wandering the hotel alone to find her daughter. Of course they split up. It's a horror movie. Of course they split up. And things are getting creepier by the minute. We're blurring the reality between what is performance and what is real. It's tough to figure out for us and for her. But yeah, there's bad things going on in this hotel.
Surprise!
We don't know who to trust.
No one. Trust no one.
Yeah. I mean, the surprise is the least surprising thing you will ever encounter in a horror movie. And I know that's saying something, but it is true. And I even was vocally very mad at Leonora for being surprised by it. I was like, really? Come on.
She should have known.
You knew. We all knew, lady. Yeah. Anyways, it was kind of interesting. It's got a great premise. It didn't really know what to do with it. I thought really everything that happened after this great setup kind of got less and less interesting because it got more and more generic horror story. I think the more interesting story was probably outside of the hotel because those streets are littered with dead bodies, way more than are actually going to happen in the hotel. Yeah. And those are just non-mysterious lying in the streets dead bodies. So I think that probably is the movie that would have been more interesting to me.
Fair.
But you know,
it looks good.
It does look good.
Post-apocalyptic city here is pretty cool. So in that respect too, let's get out in it.
Let's go see what's going on in Norway. I mean, the inside of the hotel looks good too, but I just feel like we've seen haunted hotels.
We have, and it gets repetitive pretty quick. Every room is pretty much the same. That
is right. When every scene is trying to shock you, then nothing shocks you anymore. And it just is like, all right, now we all feel dirty. Great. So anyways, I don't know if I super recommend this one if you're, in the mood for some thrills. Right. It's a new one, so it's probably, You won't be mad about it, but you're
No.
just not going to be thrilled with it.
No.
You know.
It's going to go exactly where you think it's going to go.
Yes, it is. So, missed opportunities, but it's not a terrible movie, and I'm sure that this young writer-director is going to continue to make some stuff, because for a first outing, this is a pretty nifty
He's got
swing.
some talent.
Yeah. So check it out if you dare, and if you can pronounce any of the names, give yourself an extra pat on the back from me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.